All right, all right, all right. What up, y'all? Word. Man, my phone's already blowing up. Huh. Just friends babbling about whatnot. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Brain Drain here, an offshoot of auburnsports.com. And man, what a night. Oh, my goodness. Auburn played about as bad as it could possibly play in the first half. Defense was okay-ish. Offense was atrocious. I thought point guard play was atrocious. Pretty much all night, honestly. Javon finishes with 2 assists and 9 turnovers. But I'll give him this. He fought. Javon fought, and some of the other guys made some big shots. Hell, he made a few. And he was kind of a blight on the system, but he kept fighting, and I think BP is going to be happy with that. You know, he's going to be like, Javon, we got to value the ball a little bit more, but Javon played pretty hard. The bunker's been very, very critical of him, and I understand why, but I thought he played his butt off. And he's part of the reason they got down. They got down, and he's part of the reason they got back. We'll put it to you that way. We got our first super chatter of the night already. Hornacious, my man. Tree Fitty. Hornomania sucks ass. Oh, come on, man. We all know who the best horn is. Appreciate it, bro. I know you got that new mansion. You know, I know that. So appreciate you. I sent it a little bit over here. Let's see what's going on. Joel S. says, OMG, JGT, it's past your bedtime. No, it's not. Not yet. We're not too far off, though. Ryan N. says, let's go. Hell yeah. Sam H. says, that type of game helps build some mental toughness for the guys. Agreed. I was just talking on the bunker the other day that I didn't think they had enough guys with enough sack to overcome trouble on the road, because this team generally starts slowly, and somebody or somebodies have got to be able to be reliable contributors on the road every single time, the way Chuma was last year and the way Jared was last year. And I didn't think they had it, and tonight they showed it. So there you go. That's a significant win. I mean, to be down 19 in the first half, to play that poorly, and then, you know, you fight back, and I'll let that one go, Alpha Tiger. You fight back, and you get into 1 overtime, and then you get into 2 overtimes, and you just find a way. And I feel like there's going to be folks out there that say, oh, man, you should beat Ole Miss by more, and, you know, there's some legitimacy to that. But listen, Auburn doesn't play very well over there in general. It's been a while. I remember a game a couple years ago. Auburn was up big over there and ended up losing. And Kermit Davis, in general, does a really good job against BP. I mean, he's just good against Bruce with the things that he does. And they went to the zone. They went to the 1-3-1. They trapped, and I thought Auburn handled it pretty well. I mean, Ole Miss was starting to show that zone significantly late in regulation, and I thought, here we go, because it takes Auburn a while to adjust to that zone. And it did. It took a little bit, but in overtime, I thought Kermit really wanted to go to that zone, and I thought Auburn handled it pretty well. Maybe not Javon as much, but the other guys did. Let's see what's going on over here. Michael M. says McCormick struggled. Indeed, he did. As I mentioned at the top, I thought he fought really hard, and he got him back in it. You could argue that he's the one that helped get him in the hole to start with, but, you know, whatever. Johnny, be good. Glad to see you back again. Appreciate you being part of the show every single week. Big Smooth won the game for us. Flat-footed lefty. And you talk about Anthony Hardaway is who you're talking about. And, yes, Mr. Pick and Pop, dude. He had a good game. I got a box score up here to talk it over with you guys. There it is, the damage, so to speak. Anthony McLemore, 19 points, 6 of 12 shooting, 5 of 10 from 3, man. It's probably a little bit much for a power forward / center to be taking 10 shots from 3, but hey, when you shoot 50%, no argument there. 5 rebounds. He ended up fouling out, but I think it was in the first overtime. And then 3 steals. You'd think he might have a block, but that's not really his game, or not in this game. It wasn't. Ole Miss kind of backed off with the dribble drive stuff and started kind of heaving away. It was kind of significant at the moment when Tyree fouled out with, about 5 minutes to go in regulation. He did not have a great night. You can see on the stat sheet there he had 8 points, 2 of 8 shooting. He is their leading scorer. He's one of the great scorers in the SEC this season. Auburn really put a lot of defensive effort into slowing him down and frustrating him. And so when he goes out of the game, you're like, they lost a guy that has 8 points. Who cares? He is their leader, okay? And I don't care if he's having a bad game. He's their leader. And when Auburn is able to switch off because Tyree leaves, you can then put the pressure, I guess. You could make a new guy the defensive target. And it was Schuler, although Henson I thought was really big, and they didn't pay him as much attention, and he was killing them. 16 points for Henson, and he doesn't usually do that. I don't think of him as a primary scorer, but he was big tonight. And then Buffin was doing some business just by luring Wiley out of the post and then just kind of beating him one-on-one, which is not really fair to Austin, but it was a good strategy move by Kermit. It's the kind of stuff that he does. We got some super chatters coming in. Oh, my goodness, do we love super chatters. Sparrow Empire again. Sparrow Empire, you've just been huge for like months now. Sparrow says this team is not ready. They're going to get stomped by quality teams, which they have not faced yet. Glad we won, but definitely a wake-up call. That sounds a little bit pessimistic there, Sparrow. Come on, man. I think if he was a realist, not necessarily a negative guy, but that's all good. Stu Pup jumps in as well. Appreciate you, Stu Pup. Always here for us, man. I love the fight on this team. They have plenty of sack. It's the lack of skill and awareness that bother me. Fair. That is definitely fair. Also, we got a super chat came in a little earlier from Plains Old Joe, another one of our frequent commenters and super chatters. Appreciate you. POJ says, for real, miss the game recorded. No spoilers, please. Okay. Auburn played. You better click this one off, Big Daddy. Love the Cats with another super chat. Looks like he's saying goodbye for the night. Says, good night, nerd. Got to get up early. I understand that. I know. It's 11 o'clock, 11:09 actually in the Central Time Zone. 12 o'clock. We're actually into Wednesday for our friends in the Eastern Time Zone. So appreciate you guys being part of the show and showing up in this one. I wasn't expecting a lot just because it's so late during the week and everybody's got to go out there and make that green, but that legal tender, as they say. But I appreciate that. Let's see what else is going on here. Avery says, I'm very sad, JG. Yeah, I was communicating with some of my Ole Miss friends during the game, and as you would expect, Avery, they were concerned. They were concerned, maybe not at halftime, but as things started getting a little bit closer there, as the second half wore on, I think they were getting concerned, yeah. So. And we're going to have some good news on the Ole Miss front with the show that I do with Neil. We've got another sponsor coming on, and I'm really fired up about it. So, Jenkins Mock back in the hizzle. Appreciate you, bro. Again, I know you're kind of new to the show, but you're here every week now. I appreciate that. Says JG going to be back. Love this team. Absolutely no quit. See, to me, that's a really big deal. The fact that they came out there and fought their way back here. And you want to say, hey, Ole Miss sucks, man. Ole Miss is 10-9, 1-5 in the SEC, but Ole Miss is kind of a weird team. I mean, they have players. This is not a crappy team talent-wise. It's just they seem a little listless as far as chemistry goes. You shouldn't be allowing Auburn to come back from 19 in your own building. That's one that's going to sting. But I don't know, man. It takes a lot for Auburn to get out of that hole and to win this game. It takes a lot. And we can complain and kvetch over, should Auburn have been down? Shouldn't have Auburn put away Ole Miss? Guys, seriously, come on. Auburn struggles at Ole Miss. You guys, I know some of you guys haven't been watching Auburn basketball that long, but we've seen a lot of butt kickings over there, and they're very rarely helping Auburn. Looks like Neil, my man. Not able to get to that at the moment, Neil, but if you're watching. He was sending over some BP video for us. Appreciate that. Johnny B. Good notes that 96 folks are here. I know, that's incredible, man. For the midweek game this late at night, I appreciate you guys being part of the show, no doubt. We got another super chat coming in from my man, Fat Crack. Again. Always here for us. JGT, thanks as always for this great show. Also, would you ever consider doing a brain drain during the game one time? Would be cool, possibly. I like that. I like that certainty in your voice. I have thought about it. Some folks have brought it up. You may have brought it up. I just don't know. I don't feel like I can compete with Andy and Sonny because they're broadcasting live courtside. They're really good at this, and I mean, I wouldn't even be trying to do play-by-play, but I don't know, maybe we could do something. Even if we're just kind of talking our way through the game. Maybe there's some stuff that I see that Andy, maybe he has different things that he keeps an eye on or whatever. I'm open to it. Not the Kentucky game, because I think it's going to be too big to try that, but maybe one of the games after that. Heck, let's take a look at the schedule and see when we could do that. Not Kentucky. Maybe at Arkansas. So I like these 6 o'clock tips. I think this is the last late tip until we get to, well, at least potentially to the SEC tournament. So I'm really fired up about that. Or maybe that LSU game. We'll take a look at it, Fat Crack. Good idea. I appreciate your support, like thinking that I could pull that off or we could pull that off. It'd be pretty awesome. Anthony Rudd asked a good question. Who is our backup, PG? JG? It's actually Samir. So, Javon's the point, and then Samir plays like a combo guard. Although, as you have seen in the last 3 games, and there was some of that going on tonight, Isaac is really starting to see the court a lot better. And I think he's actually he's not a point guard, but he kind of shares the load with Samir when Javon's out of the game. So I really expected to see more of him tonight because I thought Ole Miss was going to zone even more than they did. And I think when they zone, that's when you need Okoro hovering around the high post somewhere to kind of administrate in the middle of the zone. I think he can do that, and he did some of that tonight, not a much. Love the Cats. Hornatius jumps back after saying he was out. In-game shit calls would be fire. I hadn't thought about it that way. We could get some of our angry people who are just waiting for Auburn to suck. Those folks get on the horn and bitch about it. That'd be good. But then it wouldn't be great if we had a caller on here complaining and saying that Bruce sucks or whatever, and then Auburn goes on like an 8-0 run, and all of a sudden the game switches, and it's like, I got to go, man. My mom's calling me. You'd be like, boom, off with his head. Jeff Cheney asked a great question. What is the drink tonight? I was hoping he wouldn't ask. So Auburn goes down 19 in the first half, and it's at halftime, right? And it's like, my wife's like, how are they doing? I'm like, terrible. They're really, really bad tonight. So I went down and grabbed the bourbon that I dislike the most. I have probably 25 different bottles of bourbon. And the number 25 bottle I grabbed because I was like, this is such a shitty night, and they're shitty, and I'm just going to drink shitty bourbon tonight. So I didn't have a chance because I was doing the game thread. I was getting a show ready, et cetera, et cetera. So I didn't have a chance to change. This game, the way it turned out, deserves a better bourbon than what I'm gonna actually drink tonight, but I'm not going to change it now. It's this Rowan Creek Swill. I don't know if you guys can see this. Now, listen. It doesn't say anything on here, but it's actually a Willett property, and I like Willett, okay? I like the people. I have met them. I've been there. I like drinking Willett, particularly the pot still stuff, but they make this, and I think it tastes like ass. I hate it, but I'm going to drink it. I'm going to drink it because that's what I chose. And sometimes you got to live with your decisions. Same for Javon. 9 turnovers. There's going to be some accountability for that, guys. So I'm going to drink a little bit of this Round Creek. Some of you guys might actually like this stuff. And God bless you guys if you do. Plains old Joseph Braggart. You're talking about me and my bourbon. Dude, I mean, it's like a passion for my wife and I. We're both from Kentucky, and it's just kind of what we do. So anyway, let's see. Michael M. says refs were home cooking us. I'm assuming. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm generally not one to get involved with the refs because I just feel like for the most part, those guys are just trying hard. It was Tuberville that got me thinking that way. I thought that the hand checks were a little bit biased in Ole Miss's favor, at least in regulation. I didn't necessarily sense it as much in the overtime periods. So to me, it was about even. I don't like the hand checks. I feel like people miss the hand checks. I don't understand it. It's called so inconsistently. Like Auburn doesn't hand check a lot on defense, but other people know to hand check Auburn because it pisses Auburn off. Samir doesn't like getting hand checked. Javon doesn't like getting hand checked, and D'Angelo doesn't like getting hand checked. So they're going to do it until the refs make them stop. So you could look at that as, well, that's a ref problem. And it's like, yeah, it just depends on their interpretation or that crew's interpretation. I don't know. Jenkins Mock, appreciate the super chat, my man. Man, you've been really consistent too, and I'm glad you kind of surfed into our little haven here. What was it? Maybe a month ago or so. He says, JG, these slow starts are inevitable at this point. It does seem that way. But why so slow tonight? I just think this team doesn't handle the road very well. Now you could say, well, JG, hell, man, they fought back. Yeah, they did, man. This is kind of uncharted waters for them. I mean, when they fell down bad at Alabama, they just laid down. And when they fell down bad at Florida, they laid down. And so when they fell down big at Ole Miss, the Rebels are not as good as Alabama or Florida. But I was like, I just don't think they have the sack to get it done. I think that's kind of why it was – I can't really explain why it was a little bit slower tonight, but I can explain why it kind of got away from them there in the first half, because I just don't think in general they have enough sack. But they definitely did it tonight in the second half and then into overtime too. But thank you, Jenkins Mock. Appreciate the super chat. Let's see what else is going on. Kyle W. says, thanks for the brain drain, JGT. Going to get some sleep and watch the replay tomorrow. I appreciate you being part of the show if you're still watching. Yeah. Canoe Man in the house. He says, BP, I think Jeff C. was talking about Bruce sweating through his jacket tonight. And Canoe Man says, BP sweated through Burgo's jacket too. Oh, man. Why you got to get Burgo involved? Burgo, by the way, is like their chief strategy guy. He's the first guy on the bench. He's got kind of a short haircut, and you'll see him. The guy's a genius. He's an absolute genius, and he'll be a star in this profession. Probably not as a head coach, but as kind of like that dude that really good head coaches have around. Strategy guy, just a really bright basketball mind. If you guys are ever wondering who that is. And then he's always the first guy on the bench, and then Chad Pruitt is the second guy on the bench. And really, I have the same things to say about Chad. I mean, he's an incredibly bright dude. He's the kind of dude that great head coaches have around them. A good strategist too, but also he's a damn good coach. I don't necessarily think of Burgo as a coach per se, but maybe he will be. I don't know. He's just very young. Let's see what's going on. The Canoe Man says Elijah Craig barrel proof is solid. Well, yeah, it's better than solid. I think that's a terrific bourbon, but I didn't have it. So let me go ahead and drink some of this Rowan's Creek. Oh, my God. God. It's not that it's like super hot. It's just so rye. Like it's just, it's a rye product anyway. They are coming up with some wheat stuff, but they're heavy on the rye anyway. The pot still is for sure. And then with this and the Johnny Drum, it's like it's maxed out on the rye. And it's just like really spicy to me. God bless. Ay, ay, ay. Let's see. Bradley G says, we come out like a boxer who can't punch, but we can punch. I think it's all mental. It's got to be. I mean, it's not a great shooting team, but it doesn't have to always be 1 of 10 to start with, or 1 of 9 the other night. It doesn't have to be like that. Andrew A. says, Auburn plays terrible on the road, very similar to the football team. Interesting. That is probably true. I don't know as though they're related, but it is true. Looks like Georgia Rebel says dumb T, meaning the technical against Javon refs just looking to call shit. I tend to agree. Oh, I better show that. Sorry. I tend to agree. I mean, it is a technical by the letter of the law, but the only reason he got it called is because when he put his hand down and slapped the scores table, like some papers kind of flew up, which he quickly gathered and put back. But I think the spectacle of that happening, excuse me, just got them fired up. Corny Mofo, I should have known who you were last time. I don't know why. Says, so according to the bunker, we must be a 9-11 team. What's our upside? I mean, they're good. Auburn's a good team. Let's take a look at the. I didn't cut that up yet. My bad. I can get it here real quick. I can't show it to you, but Ken Palm. Let's see what Auburn looks like on the Ken Palm here. All right, so Auburn is 18-2, 5-2 in the league play. They've got a really tough stretch coming up. Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU, Alabama. Of course, Alabama's at home this time, but Alabama's getting a lot better. They're now 44th in the Ken Palm rankings. Auburn's 35, which is a little low. They've been low in Ken Palm all year. And I think that has to do with strength of schedule. Because Auburn played some dogs earlier, and I think other people weren't as much. Let's see. 1, 2. I'm going to count off wins here. I'm not going to tell you what they are because I don't want to be held accountable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 7 more SEC wins, which would put them at 12. So 12-6. It's not bad. And 23 wins? No, 25 wins. So something like that. That's not bad. I mean, that's going to be probably a 4 seed in the SEC, in the NCAA tournament. Maybe a run at the SECs gets them one step higher. I don't know. We got some super chats coming in. Sparrow Empire comes through again. Appreciate you, bro. Very much. So when Javon holds his hand or fingers above his head, is that just inside jokes within the team, or do they actually have plays after tonight? I don't know. Come on, man. Sorry, I had to write that one down. We've been talking about this on the show the last 3 or 4 nights. There's a problem. There's absolutely a problem where they communicate the plays to Javon, and somehow or another, the plays they're calling don't get executed. And BP holds his point guards accountable for that, specifically Samir and Javon. And there's not an easy answer for what's going on there. I was asking a coach about it a couple weeks ago, and he said if I understood that and had an answer, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. They're still just kind of working on it. I think the guys just get a little absent-minded, and I think sometimes the basketball IQ is not quite what it was last year. I mean, we all knew that Jared was a badass, okay, and we knew that Chuma was a badass. We knew that Bryce had become a badass. And I don't know as though we have those guys right now. I don't know as though Auburn's playing with those guys right now. So I don't really blame Javon, I don't think. I think it's an uphill battle for him at all times to get that stuff done. They would just rather run open, which is where the ball goes opposite of the post and you just kind of run motion. I feel like this team feels more comfortable doing that, but you can't always do that. Jazzy Joe in the house, my man, Jazzy Joe. You can see him on the bunker now as Jazzy Joe. Appreciate the super chat, bro. He says, what up, peeps? Stopping by to say War Damn Eagle got some stuff to handle, so if y'all are on after that, I'll jump back in WDE. Appreciate you, Jazzy. You're always welcome. We're always happy to have you here on the Brain Drain. Absolutely. So, oh, man, Bradley G jumps in. Appreciate you, bro. So we had to dominate to come back on the road. Yeah, man, the road games are tough, man, even against these teams that are maybe not the greatest. But, it's part of it. It's part of it. So what else we got? I got a little backed up here and didn't get all the super chats written down. That stuff's important to me. Fat Crack again. Appreciate you. Stoop Up again. You guys are like faithful out there. Unbelievable. All right, let me get back in with some chatting here. Call Me Biscuit says JGT is probably going to be rustled. I suspect he's having technical issues. What? Who's having technical issues? What are you talking about, bro? I don't see any dropped frames or anything. Kesnarl says, give Rowan's Creek some credit. It makes a really good Manhattan. Yeah, if you can bury this in an actual drink, that would be better, right? Its stuff is just so incredibly spicy. It's super, super rye. God bless. It's like super earthy, too. It's just not my thing. It almost tastes like cinnamon. It really does. Corny says, JG must be of wealth. Cheap whiskey or Corona choking him up. Corona. Man, I hadn't had a Corona since I was in like high school, yo. I don't drink that stuff. I avoid it at all costs. Jeff C. wisely says, could be a big win for momentum. To grind out an ugly win like that on the road is strong. Absolutely. I think that's totally worthwhile to think about and talk about. It ain't easy. I mean, winning on the road's tough. Auburn's been blown out the last 2 times on the road. Now Alabama's playing a lot better, and Florida got beat by State tonight. I was surprised by that. Got beat handily, honestly. I think it was 7 or 9 points, but they played really, really well that day. This is a different level of challenge, but still, man, you're down 19. And Ole Miss has some experience. They have a lot of guards. They have good players. They have a very good coach. I mean, I don't know. They're kind of a weird team to categorize because had Ole Miss won, I think a lot of people around the league would have been like, oh, what a hideous loss, you know. But to me, I thought Ole Miss was a lot better than their net record indicates. Just my opinion. Patrick Peace, is Auburn number 1 yet? No, definitely not. Got some shortcomings for sure. But I do think people overlook them more than they should. I mean, Auburn's ranked 17 now? I mean, it seems a little low. But again, people are saying, well, what's their big win? That's fair. These are fair criticisms. 10-0 says if we didn't have Anthony, then we would have gotten blown out of the water. It almost happened anyway, right? Ant was great in the second half. Yeah, let me go through a few things I wanted to talk about on the show. I'll pull up the stat sheet while I do that. That was their biggest comeback since 2014. They did against State. And then before that, it was 1999. I don't even remember that 1999 game. I should. The biggest difference, second half, Samir, Okoro, Ant brought him back. All those guys were double-digit scorers in the second half. Samir had 14 points just in the second half going to overtime. So between halftime and overtime, Samir had 14 because he was atrocious in the first half. I mean, super bad. And then he was better. I don't think at any point he was really good, although he made some great defensive plays. I don't know. Let's see. Cleveland Brown. Let me see if I can find this. With Auburn having a comeback win like this, do you give them more of a chance to win against UK? It doesn't really affect how I think Auburn's going to beat Kentucky at home. And I would have thought that had they won or lost. I think Kentucky's a good team, but they have their own problems. And Auburn plays better at home. And Auburn, I think, yeah, they play better at home. And I think Okoro is going to be a real problem for Kentucky. And I think the fact that it's Kentucky, I think Okoro, we're going to see something really big from him. That's what I think. Jeff C. makes a really shrewd observation here, and it blows my mind, but he's right. He says, our center is the best free throw shooter on the team. We need to give Wiley so much credit for that. He was not a very good free throw shooter until we get to this season. And now he's been tremendous. He's not 90% or anything, but I think he's like 75%. After a horrible career prior to this, they reworked his shot, and, man, it's working. I think he was 6 of 8 tonight. Is that right? Austin was 6 of 8 at the line. So, I mean, that's tremendous. And he had some big ones there late. It's so weird that Austin was able to kind of overcome that. It's, you know, you think about it through the years. I mean, those big men have a hard time with free throws for whatever reason. And Shaq was just horrendous. Hakeem was pretty good, though, actually. I think about it. But anyway, man, lots of credit to Austin for that. 10-0 says Kentucky is the worst team I've ever seen. The worst team. Oh, this year. Yeah. It's kind of like UK's, I don't know, like people talk big about UK, and you know, is it time to wonder a little bit? And this is coming from a guy, I graduated from Kentucky, but I mean, I don't really care anymore. But is it time we start thinking about Kentucky in a little bit different light? Like, you know, because 8 years ago or 6 years ago when they had John Wall and Boogie and all those guys, I mean, they were obscenely good. But it seems like these last few years, man, like they're not quite there, right? Let's see. In 2018, they go 26-11. They crash out in the Sweet 16. Last year, they're 30-7, pretty good team. Got their ass beat by Auburn in the NCAA tournament. An Auburn team that was just kind of playing for Chuma. Had P.J. Washington, who was a tremendous player. Hero. Ashton Hagans, although Ashton Hagans wore down big time last year. It doesn't seem like he's doing that, although we need to see another month of data on that. See, 2017, they crash out in the Elite Eight. Close game to North Carolina. I don't know. They're still pretty damn good in general, I guess. To me, I just think they've taken a little bit of a step back. But This team's 15-4. I'm talking about the Kentucky team. They lost to Evansville, lost to Utah, lost to Ohio State. Those two games were back-to-back. And then lost to South Carolina. Although Kentucky has a lot of trouble at South Carolina and has for a long time. It's kind of like Auburn at Ole Miss. It's just tough for them every time. They beat Arkansas here recently away, which is going to be tough. Arkansas is getting a lot better, guys. That coach, Musselman, he knows what he's doing. I remember 5 or 6 years ago, there were some people back. This is back when Hoke was with us talking about Musselman needed to be on the Auburn list. And I was like, who's this dude? And it's this dude. He did a great job in Nevada, and now he's doing it at Arkansas really quick, too. Kentucky also beat Georgia, and they won that really close game in overtime against Texas Tech. They have Vanderbilt tomorrow. I'm sure they'll crush them. Yeah, I think Auburn's going to win this game. It's going to be a big deal. Big deal on campus. You got College Game Day there, and huge game. Huge game. I missed some chat stuff here. I'm sorry about that. Let's see what's going on. AU Taxman says, Samir looks like he doesn't even try on free throws. It reminds me of Airplane. And sometimes you don't even try except during the playoffs. He says, tell your old man to drag Walton Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes. Robert H. says, what's your opinion on consistently starting Wiley over Anthony? Feel like we play better with a team with Anthony in there. Well, there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, I think you're not thinking clearly about Anthony. He was awesome tonight, particularly in the second half. But he's not like that all the time. He's kind of hit or miss. And I'm looking at the latest Ken Palm numbers. And Austin Wiley is a very effective offensive performer when he's in there. He is, he's in the top 10 in the country and defensive rebounding, as like they call it defensive rebounding percentage, but it's like relative to how often you're on the court, how often do you get defensive rebounds. He's number 4 in the country of players. So there's probably like 500 guys ranked, and he's 4th. He's also 4th in fouls drawn. So when we've talked about this on the show all this time. If they get the ball to him, sorry about that, and he initiates a move, it's a real problem for every defense they face, Kentucky included. It's just they got to get the ball to him, and there's trouble getting it to him. Partly because the guards can't get it in, and partly because his area of control is about this big, and his hands aren't great. But he has a real problem when he gets the ball into control in his arms, and he can initiate a move. And you can see fouls drawn per 40, it's almost 8. And he's ranked 4th in the country at that. He's ranked 50th in the country at blocks, which doesn't a block percentage, like how often he blocks when he's on the court. Doesn't sound that impressive, but I mean, there's 2,000 players. He's a tremendous rebounder. Anthony is a okay defensive rebounder, and he's a poor offensive rebounder. So, to me, Austin Wiley's a big-time step up in defense. I'm going to talk to Neil here. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk and text at the same time. I bet you young folks can do that. So that's my short answer. Let's see what's going on. Sorry about that. I was kind of going on a rant there. I didn't mean to. AU Taxman says Tyler Hero is an assassin this year. I have not seen one instance of him playing. I just haven't paid attention as much as I normally do. I'm hopeful. That's great. I'm glad. I love it. Anybody that's making money in the NBA, I'm fired up about it. Particularly Auburn guys. I'll be really stoked if Chuma gets back and starts balling out for the Magic, because I want him to make a lot of money. I want him to be rich. I want all those guys I cover to be rich. Corny Mofo says Kobe was top 3 ever. Yeah, he's really good, man. It was Larry Bird that I was kind of shitting on the other day. I mean, he's a really good player, too. I just don't think he's, like, if you had an all-time NBA starting 5, I don't think Larry Bird's on it. Larry Bird's not on it. Put it that way. Jeff C. in the house. Thank you for the super chat, sir. Good meeting you, of course, at the Auburn game maybe a month ago. And I appreciate you just being you, man. Get me straight when I needed you. Says, thanks for staying up late. JG, buy yourself some better brown water. This stuff is expensive. It's just not very good. Round Creek. Not a fan. It's just too spicy. Some of you guys probably enjoy it, and I don't mean to be hating. Maybe I'm just not man enough. I don't know. McCready. Oh, man. I guess we can get McCready on the show. He's pretty funny. I'm a little bit fussed. Those of you, if you have any Rebel Grove folks on, so they did their Oxford Crystal podcast or whatever they do in the mornings with Neil and Chance, and they went on there and previewed the Auburn game, and they had Brian on. I was like, I'm pretty familiar with the Rebel Grove folks, but that's cool. If you want to have Brian on, he knows what he's talking about. B-Matt's a tremendous beat reporter. He's a great guy to talk to. TD says Neil needs to call Into the Drain. All right, we'll do it. Steve V. Steve has been with me. We had him at the Botan years and years ago. I bet we've been hanging out, 12, 13, 14 years now, Steve. Appreciate you, bro. Glad to see you here on the Brain Drain. He said if you had an all-time white guy top 5, Bird is a lock. Oh, there's no doubt about that. Probably, yeah. You could put him at 3 or 4, I guess. But that ain't what we're doing. Let's see. Cleveland Brown has a fun SEC fact. Until tonight, all SEC teams in the last decade that went into halftime down 17 went 0 and 102. Now it's 1 and 102. But I thought this was the biggest comeback since 2014. That might not have been in the first half, though. It might have been a second half thing. Jenkins M says NBA all-time 5, no question. I guess you're talking about Larry Bird. Whew. Man, oh man, oh man. The best power forward to ever play the game. Larry Bird. I mean, it just doesn't sit with me. It just doesn't. Because you can play around with your centers a little bit. I mean, I would probably put Wilt Chamberlain at center. You could also put Bill Russell there. Maybe I would shift Bill Russell to power forward. That would be an incredible wealth of talent there. I am a big Tim Duncan guy. I thought he was tremendous. That guy made more shots than just about anybody short of LeBron and Kobe and Jordan. And then you got to think about that Bird's career was not as long as it should have been, or could have been, I should say. Had the back problems, had the foot problem, et cetera, et cetera. Steve, you're the man, dude. You've been around a long time, and I appreciate you. Tenno says Kentucky used to be untouchable. They always had that intimidation factor. Usually they have strong luck factor that came along with it. They just don't intimidate other teams anymore. That's true. I feel that way. I don't know. I would probably defer to what the players think. But I think Kentucky's been demystified from an Auburn perspective. I mean, that game in the NCAA tournament last year Auburn sunned them. Come on now. That was big. Not that you're disagreeing. I'm just saying. Let's see. Jenkins M says his his all-time NBA starting 5 would be Magic, which I agree with. Michael Jordan at the 2, I agree with. LeBron, I agree with. Duncan at the 4, which I would tend to go that way. And then at center, he goes O'Neal or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I love me some Shaq now. I was on Team Shaq all the way through. And even more so tonight after his impassioned chat on TNT about Kobe, which was insanely gripping. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that, but you need to see it. It's like 4 minutes long. And I think it's absolutely worth the 4 minutes you would spend watching that. Some really valuable advice in that, which is don't hold back the things you need to say to certain people because you never know when you won't be able to say them ever again. And I didn't do that tonight. I didn't have any crazy things that I said, but I reached out to a few people tonight that I don't normally talk to and let them know how I felt about them. It wasn't anything super crazy. Just keeping up. Keeping up. I think Shaq regrets now not keeping up with Kobe as tightly as it seemed like his son was tighter with Kobe than he was. Let's see what we got going on. Oh, yeah, Neil. If you guys want to hear Neil. Oh, Solo Tiger says he's got Steve Nash at point guard, which is sneaky good. Steve Nash was a really good player. Pistol Pete, that I probably don't appreciate him as much as some do. I didn't see him play, and I need to read more about him. I know he's really good. He's got Bird at the 3. I don't think he compares well at the 3. Ho Grant, come on, man, and Kevin McHale. I mean, I those are your favorite players. I get it, but not the greatest of all time. No way. Ho Grant, come on, man. Let's see. Dan Webb says, Jay, what would you honestly have predicted our record to be at this point before the season? Yeah, not nearly as good. They're 18-2, 5-2. No, I wouldn't have thought 18-2. I mean, the schedule was pretty favorable. I probably would have had them losing to Mississippi State. You know, Vanderbilt, I didn't think they were going to be. I mean, that was a tougher game than I thought it would be. Georgia, they've got one player. I mean, I guess it would be about this. Maybe you could see them losing to like NC State, but I didn't think they would at home. Too many of these guys were there last year when it all fell apart at NC State, and I thought they would be salty. And I don't know, some of these other teams just turned out to be not that great. I mean, New Mexico we thought was going to be better than they were. Colgate is Cal State Northridge is the worst defensive teams I've ever seen. The game against South was real nutcutter, and it turns out South's just kind of so-so. I don't know. They're 12-10. They've lost 3 of their last 4, so I don't know. I guess it's about right. I don't know. It's a good point though. Sparrow Empire jumps in again. Sorry guys, my wife's been coughing for a week, and I've staved it off until now. It seems like. Sparrow Empire jumps in again. Says JG, we got 3 tough games coming up. If we go 0-3, are we moving out of the tourney pick? I just don't see any way Auburn falls out of the tournament pick. I mean, if they lose these games, it's going to be bad. It's going to be, some pummeling, but they're going to get back going. I mean, they got Missouri. They've got a run later in the year where they've got Missouri, Georgia, Tennessee, and then Ole Miss at home. I mean, they're going to win a majority of those, if not all of them. And then you got A&M, and then I don't know. I think Auburn's going to win plenty of games. They're going to get in the tournament. I mean, they're going to be a 25-win team at minimum. They'll be fine. I think they have some flaws, and I just don't think that they're going to be like they were last year. But they're good. And I mean, seriously, you're at Auburn. First of all, getting to the Final Four is a crapshoot. Doesn't matter who you are. Okay, as we learned last year. Kansas was a pretty good team last year. They had a serious injury that messed them up, but they were still a good team. Got crushed. North Carolina was a good team last year. They just got a bad matchup. They got matched up with an Auburn team that had a lot of big, sackly backcourt dudes, a lot of experience, and Chumo Kiki, and they tore their ass up. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's all about matchups, and it's really hard to get to the Final Four. Still a really good Auburn team, one of the best ever. BP doesn't want it to be that way. BP wants to do this every single year, and I think he's going to. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here and be like, I don't know about this team. It kind of sucks. No, it doesn't. The Georgia Rebel notes that the mailman could deliver for sure. Karl Malone's pretty damn good, too. You're right about that. I was a big fan of Karl Malone. I actually got to meet him at Auburn. It's probably been 4 years ago now. I think he had a son playing for LSU or something like that, football. And he was with Chuck Person, and I was like, holy shit, that's the mailman. And I knew Chuck, and I was like, oh, is this Karl? And he was like, oh, yeah, you want to meet him? I was like, hell yeah, I want to meet him. And he's a big, big dude, man. Even now, I mean, I don't know how old he is now, at 60-ish, 55-ish. He looked like he would definitely whip my ass. Probably whip most of y'all's asses, too. Alpha Tiger says, no calls tonight? I haven't been listening the entire time, so may have missed. I wasn't really anticipating calls. It's 11:45. I didn't think people want to be calling, but I'd be glad to call. Let's see. I'll have McCready call. Let me get this Skype up. Sorry, guys. I was just kind of chatting. The Canoe Man jumps in. Appreciate you again, man. He says, do we get to hear a Russell BMAT tonight? Hopefully he is doing his pre-call wind sprints right now. I know. Remember football season to be like, okay, guys. Yeah. That was a big game, huh? Like, Brian, damn, dude. The game was over like 2.5 hours ago. Let's see. I do need to let's see if we can get BMAT on the horn. Sorry, guys. I know this is a scintillating video. I want to make sure that B-Matt's ready for me. I don't know if he's finished all of his writing or whatever. If Canoe Man wants, what Canoe Man wants, Canoe Man gets. It's that simple. Corny says, why does anyone care about an all-white team? Go back to the 1880s. I tend to agree, but I mean, if people are just kind of going through it. Let's see. 49 minutes to midnight says, LOL, B-Matt is the little spoon for his wife right now. That's what I'm talking about right there. Jenkins M says, JG, any Jalen Green or Sutton update? That's a J. Lee question. I can't offer a lot on that one. I've been paying attention to Broderick Jones mostly lately. That's coming up here in like a week. By the way, Broderick Jones is due to be on campus this weekend. He visited Georgia last week, and there was some concern, let's say 2 weeks ago, when we kind of saw how this was all playing out, that he would go to Georgia and then he wouldn't actually get to Auburn. Like, Georgia would lock him down. That I'm sure Georgia's trying to get that done right now, but Malzahn visited him in home last night, and then at this point, it still looks like he's going to be coming. And if that's true, that's a big win for Auburn just to actually get him here. And then you got to do what you got to do. You know, you got to woo him. You got to get him thinking that he needs to be at Auburn. It's been a very interesting situation there. Let me B-Matt hasn't answered me yet. I hope he hadn't fallen asleep. I'm gonna get Neil McCready to call in. And I'll pick him up here in just a second. It'd be weird to do a whole show without a call. I did that in Lexington just because I couldn't take a call. Here he comes, my man, Neil McGreevy. What's going on, Neil McGreevy?
Hello, Jay.
Word, how are you?
I am good.
You were actually there in the pavilion tonight, am I right?
I was there. Covered the game. Hell of a game. Pretty interesting game.
It was quite a tilt.
Kind of loud there at the end. You got to give Auburn a ton of credit for that, man. They were down 17 at the half and had a really bad first half. Had a really bad start to the game. Down 19 with 19 and change left, and then they dominated the second half in a way that was really impressive.
Yeah, I still can't believe that happened, but something tells me you're probably not shocked that Ole Miss would have trouble holding the lead.
No, it's their fourth SEC game this year where they've blown a double-digit second-half lead. They are now 3-16 in their last 19 games against top 100 opponents, and they keep losing in the exact same fashion. They are it's really kind of interesting because, you know, if you go back and look at Kermit Davis's teams at Middle Tennessee, they were known for being really tenacious on defense. They were known for being kind of really tough, physical, blue-collar sort of teams, and he just cannot get his team here at Ole Miss to play that same way. He can't get them to respond, and tonight, you know, like, look at the last play of the game. I think it encapsulates so much. I know this is an Auburn show, and you guys are talking about Auburn. It's just kind of interesting to see a team's personality come out because I think you saw both teams' personality come out late in the game. Auburn's this veteran team. They're tough. They don't quit. They're kind of tenacious. They don't. Their body language never really got down, even when they're down 17 points. Even in the first half, when they just couldn't find a bucket. I noticed that they just kind of kept going. They just kept playing. You can tell that they've had success. And on the flip side, as soon as Ole Miss, that lead got down from, you know, what it was, 16, 17 to 8, 9, and then when Bree and Tyree fouled out, you could see body language change. But on the last play of the double overtime, I can't remember who missed a shot for Auburn, but Blake Henson gets the rebound with about 10 seconds left. If I looked at it right, it was 9.8 seconds when he got the ball in his hands. Kermit didn't want to call a timeout because Auburn had done such a great job of switching defenses in and out of timeouts. He didn't want to get a timeout. Henson, Ole Miss down one. Henson settles for a 20-foot jumper. That's not his shot. what you want to do there, obviously, and what he's been ingraining it into him is drive, make the official make a call. McLemore had fouled out of the game, so the one guy that had really killed Ole Miss is now out of the game. You got to go after, I guess it was Wiley at that point. You got to make him make a play, see if he commits a foul, see if you can get a better look at the rim. Instead, he takes a 20-footer, which, I wrote this, even if it falls, it's a bad shot. That's not what you're looking for. If you're Bruce Pearl, as soon as you see Blake Henson pull up for a 20-footer, you think, I'll take my chances.
Yeah. That was I was surprised by that myself. We were talking on the show a little bit earlier, Neil, that Breon Tyree he wasn't a big scorer tonight for sure. I think he finished with 8 points. When he fouls out with 5 minutes to go, I thought that was going to be a big deal because he is, after all, kind of like their lead man, even though he wasn't necessarily tonight. Did you think that was going to be a significant thing as well?
Yeah, in fact, I looked at someone next to me and I said, ball game. So I thought Auburn did a great job on him in a number of ways. They really made him work in the first half for anything that he got. He didn't get much. I thought their plan for him was brilliant. Bruce had a really interesting line. I'm sure it's not surprising to you because you guys have covered him. Obviously, I don't cover Auburn, so I was kind of like, wow. This is their 20th game, I think, and all 20 games they've held the opposing team's leading scorer under his average.
That's true. And
Tyree was averaging, I think, 19 point something, and obviously he got 8 tonight, so they did a phenomenal job on him. But yeah, so Ole Miss's problem behind Tyree is they don't really have guard depth, and so Devontae Shuler had to play 45 minutes tonight. I thought he played really well. After him, they've got Austin Crowley, who's a freshman, who can hold up on the defensive side, but really gives them no offense. And then they have Bryce Williams, who's a JUCO transfer, who can play and get things done on the offensive end, but is an absolute defensive liability. And you could tell Auburn, hey, look, these are SEC coaches, Bruce Pearl, Kermit Davis, those staffs, these guys are good. And they know the scouting reports back and forth. And got to give Bruce and the Auburn staff a ton of credit because whenever Williams was on the floor, they drove him every time.
Yeah.
Picked up fouls, beat him to the basket, made stuff happen. As soon as he was on, they picked on him. And until Williams can figure out how to stay on the floor defensively, he's never going to get an opportunity to take advantage of some of his offensive skill set.
Mm. Some of the folks on the bunker were just kind of like, we're lucky to get this win, and Ole Miss sucks. We should have beat them by 30. What would you say to people who ask you, man, what's up with this Ole Miss team? Because I look at it from my perspective, and I see players. And then you look at the record, and it's 10-9, and you're thinking, ay. Tell me about the chasm there.
Yeah, I wish I could figure it out. I mean, I know they wish they could figure it out.
Yeah.
They're better than a 10-10 team. I would disagree with the people in the bunker who said, hey, we should have won by 30. I don't know that anybody in this league is good enough to beat anybody, maybe with the exception of Vanderbilt, by 30. And maybe Georgia. Georgia's this AAU team collection of misfit toys kind of team. Tyree's a good player. Shuler's a good player. They miss Luis Rodriguez, who broke his foot in November. They really miss Terrence Davis, who's getting quality minutes with the Toronto Raptors.
He's good.
But yeah, they should be better than this. But like I said, Jay, they've lost a 1-point game to Memphis, and now they've lost 4 games in the league in which they've had second half double-digit leads: Texas A&M, Arkansas, LSU, and now Auburn.
That's brutal.
So, you give them a couple of those 4, and we're having a completely different conversation. But that's not how it works. Kermit Davis had a really good line. He said, we look like a team that's better than 1-6, and we play like a team that's better than 1-6, but we're 1-6, and they're 1-6, and they have some real soul searching to do, and they still have to go to Auburn. They have to go to LSU on Saturday. They still have to go to Kentucky. I mean, this thing's going to get rough for them.
Yeah.
But I really like, if you're Auburn, you got to be really pleased, man, to go on the road and that you've been in the Pavilion. It's a really good arena. They did a great job building it, and the acoustics are such that when it gets loud, it gets pretty loud. And Auburn just didn't get rattled at all. Down 17, down 19. Even when they kind of made a run at one point, and Ole Miss stretched the thing back out to, I think, 13 or 14 points, where, I think a lesser team would go, it's not our night. Auburn just they were relentless. And that McLemore, man, he's a He's a difference maker. His ability
tonight.
to stretch the floor as a man, I know it's hyperbolic, as a stretch 4, stretch 5 is it's a game changer.
Yeah, he was really good tonight. 5 of 10 from 3, and I mean the second half he carried him. Let me ask you this: so you guys did an Oxford Exxon podcast previewing the this game, right? Like yesterday or the day before?
We did today. Had your buddy Brian Matthews on.
Yeah, I mean Brian's a tremendous beat writer. Did you think about having me on?
Well, I did think about having you on, but I was afraid that if I went to that well too many times, that you'd be upset. So I went to Brian. It was kind of short notice, and I didn't want to hit you up on short notice.
Okay. When's the last time from right now that you were on a Peloton? How long ago? Are you on one now?
About 1 o'clock. Not now. About 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Are you going to be on one shortly?
No. It'll be probably sometime tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
You want me to send pictures when I'm on?
Nah, man, I'm good. I mean, I don't know how many virtual high fives Slepbanger 69 is going to get, but I wish you well on that.
I got a few virtual high fives today. I'm getting close to a milestone. So when you start getting close to milestones, I think they have some algorithm that you start getting high fives or something.
Like what milestone?
My 700th ride.
Ooh, that's big, Neil. You're a real star in the Peloton community.
It's a big moment, huh?
Yeah, I'm really proud of you. You're doing a hell of a job. You're doing a great job, Neil.
All right, Jay. Thanks for having
me. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. That's Neil McGreevy, ladies and gentlemen. He is not currently on a Peloton, and I wish that he had been because he actually sounded less winded than Brian does when he's just walking downstairs. I don't understand that. I went walking with with BMAT like a couple days ago, and he didn't strike me as being particularly tired when we were walking. We were doing steps in Beard Eves, and he seemed fine. He was handling it well. I don't know why every time we get him on the horn after a football game, he's breathing heavy. I don't know. Georgia Rebel says Rebel fans didn't like that. I'm assuming you mean Rebel Groves fans. We wanted JG. Listen, man, BMAT does a great job, so I'm glad there, but I was a little surprised. I mean, I was a little surprised. I feel like I had, established that rapport with the Rebel Grove community, but Neil thought otherwise. And you guys who are on Rebel Grove, you know what I think. I think Chance doesn't like me very much. I thought we kind of got it straightened out when I stopped calling him the cockeyed lieutenant, which of course you guys know I would never do now. But I was hoping that would help, but I guess not. And maybe his wife doesn't like me. I met his wife at the when I went up there to install their the equipment they used to do their show with, and actually Chance did a great job helping me there. But anyway, I met Chance's wife there, and I thought we hit it off. Thought she liked me all right, but maybe she said that guy's a jerk. You need to treat him like a jerk next time. Anyway, Corny says talking and walking is tough. George Rebel says dude was boring. Come on, man. B-Mat's not boring. B-Mat's the man. He's a great beat writer. He's always there. He's effervescent, too. Oh, Chip says B-Mat is winded after football because Gus tends to suck the life out of those who watch the offense. Oh, boy. George Rebel says Chance swears he has no issue with you, says you made that up. I am kind of making that up. I've never had words with Chance at all. It's always been really nice, but it just seems like it's kind of like this under the surface kind of a disdain. And he definitely didn't like me calling him cockeyed lieutenant. And I thought he'd be all right with it, but he wasn't, and so I stopped. And then we're probably fine. It's all good. He's a little bit odd. I mean, like me and Chance probably wouldn't be homies in real life. I do respect the fact that he likes bourbon and he knows bourbon. That will be fine, but, I think a lot of the things that I say, the crazy stuff that comes out of my mouth, like Neil laughs and then Chance just gets like, I want to punch him in the face. Like, he's just not that guy. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. Corny, I don't know where that came from, but that was pretty damn funny. Says you allegedly get the clap in the Grove. That's only if you make bad decisions. I have actually been to the Grove a few times and I never had the clap, so successfully avoided. Of course, I look like Shrek and I'm not a threat to pull anybody's girl, so it's all good. Everybody's safe with me in the Grove. Redman 443, apropos of nothing, says R.I.P. Kobe. Absolutely, man. I mean, I wasn't even a Kobe guy, and I'm just kind of bummed out by this. I had like a couple like little moments yesterday. I would have been the Sunday because me and Neil were doing our show right when that happened. We were fixing to go on air. Messed me up, man, because you knew right away his daughter went down and with him, and you had seen her so much on the TV in the last 6 months or whatever, and we all knew that she, was a potentially awesome basketball player, was great at her age, and it just bums me out just thinking about it. And I mentioned this on our show that we do at auburnsports.com, the rundown the other day. I mean, I think where we're going to feel Kobe's loss the most is, as a society, is that he was championing women's sports so much. I mean, he had 4 daughters. But he was talking so much about, the best thing I do, the best thing about my life is that I'm a girl dad, and I'm coaching girls basketball with my daughter, Gigi, and I just felt like he was really a champion for women's athletics, and I just hope somebody is able to jump in that chasm. I know that LeBron tweeted out or put on Instagram that he was going to carry the torch. He's going to pick up the torch. And, I mean, that could mean a lot of different things. We'll just have to see how that all works out. But I hope that these NBA guys that are so broken up about Kobe really kind of look inside themselves to see what they can do to forward the things that he was doing or about to do, because I really think Kobe was on the precipice of a really big personal jump. He's a terrific basketball player. We talked earlier. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, but he was doing more than that. He had his sights on bigger things, and I really think he was going to get there. Anyway, I don't mean to be going off. I don't mean to be going off like that. Hickadula says, I'm in Pigeon Forge and took a sip of Old Smoky Blue Flame. Oh, my God, 128 proof. He took a sip of Old Smoky Blue Flame for every missed call in the game. Can't read the score now. Did we win? 128 proof. My God. Excuse me, guys. I don't think I've had a drink on something that's 128 proof since I was in college. Man, that's tough. But it's also pretty awesome. Hey, what's going on, bud? That's my guy right here. That's Sammy Cat. Sammy, you want to say hi? You want to say what's up? Here, talk to him. You want to say something? Can you just say hi to the people? Can you? All right, we'll let you go, bro. That's my kitty. Corny Mofo says you're right about Kobe and women's sports. Yeah, I mean, my daughter, she's right at the very end of her athletic career, but she's about to play her last season of high school soccer, and I don't think she's super fired up about it, but soccer was so big for her, and I don't think she understands right now how big it was for her, but she will later. And it brought me a lot of joy, brought her a lot of joy, brought a lot of people a lot of joy, just family members being able to see her compete. Golly, I feel like I'm getting kind of... That's funny. Alpha Tiger, I'll let that go. Anyway, Hickadula, thank you for jumping in. Your first super chat ever here on the show. And we appreciate it very much. Thank you about that. Let's see. George Rebel says he did talk baseball. Talking about Brian, I guess. He knows his stuff and isn't a homer, but just so blah, no emotion. Well, B-Matt, he says he can call now if they're still going. Yeah, we'll get B-Matt on the horn. B-Matt's he's just kind of more of a straight guy, right? Like me and Jeffrey are big talkers, and B-Matt's, he's like the straight guy. I don't know. It's like Marv Albert when you got the broadcast team. I mean, Marv's just kind of a straight shooter, I don't look at it as boring. I just look at it as a straight shooter. Sparrow Empire jumps in again. Sparrow, I appreciate you tonight, man. Been crazy. You're a wise sparrow, Jay. I apologize to you and all the other viewers for my negativity tonight. We definitely suck, though. It just troubles me. Nice suffix there, my man. Ay. Damon K says, I went to a spring game for Ole Miss, was offered a PWO spot by no other than Tubbs, the possible Alabama senator. How about that? You're kind of aging yourself there, but old Tub at Ole Miss. I I've known Tub a long time. Met him in 98, I guess. So I've known him 21 years now. No, 22 years. And I really like him. Had a lot of conversations with him through the years. I want him to win, but I'm concerned that it's going to be a challenge. Because Jeff Sessions, I don't want to get into politics. I know Tommy. I like Tommy. I'd like to see him get where he wants to go. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. We also got a super chat coming in from Chip, my man in Mobile. My man in Mobile. Hope you've been to the new Voodoo there on Old Shell Road by South Alabama. Kicks in 341 and says, Sammy Super Cat Super Chat. Boom, boom. Sammy, way to be, my man. Hey, I'm over here. He's like one of these little white cats, and his eyes, like, they're always going like this. So I don't know if he actually sees me or if he's like a velociraptor where he only sees me if I move. No, it was the T-Rex that only sees you if you move, right? It just, like, he never looks straight at me. He just kind of, his eyes always do this. It's weird. Oh, yeah, we need to get B-Man on the horn. Let's see what else we got. Wait, B-Man is like Marv Albert. Yes. Yes. Alpha Tiger says, B-Man is the man. Ask him some baseball questions if you get him on tonight or the next rub down. I don't even know what to ask him. We had a conversation about it when we were walking at Beard Eves the other day, but I don't remember. He and Jason, man, they get so fired up about that stuff, and they know all the players. And they did mention that John Samuel Shanker, who is the Auburn, I know him best as the Auburn tight end, is going to be swinging the bat for the fighting Butch Thompsons this year, and they think he can actually be the DH. That he's pretty damn good. So, yeah, I would love to see that. That'd be really cool. Let's see. Redman443 says, does Brandon Marcello hate Auburn? Not that I know of. I've had a lot of conversations with Brandon through the years, and none of them have involved him hating Auburn. Brandon is, he has kind of a different view of the world than I do. We're different kinds of people. So sometimes he'll say and do things that don't make sense to me, but I guarantee he feels the same way about me at times. I like him. He's really good at what they do, at what he does. He's a good reporter. Really good reporter. Georgia Rebel says Marcelo and McGreedy don't get along. No, they don't. No, they don't. They really don't. There's some similarities between those two guys. Put it that way. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got a super chat came in. Hawk Pilot AU. First super chat. Outstanding. Says finally caught one of these live. Thanks for what you do, Jay. Hey, thank you for watching, bro, and being part of the show. Man, unbelievable, guys. Appreciate you guys staying up so late with me. It's now 12:09. It's now Wednesday in the Central Time Zone, and our friends that are in the Eastern Time Zone, it's 1:09. You guys need to get to bed. It's time to go to work. It's gonna be work soon. Redman, you got to elaborate on that a little bit. I'll try to pick you back up on the other side of this call with BMAT. But I'd be interested to see where you're going with that. If you have something specific in mind. Excuse me. All right, let me get. Oh, you dirty. You will not do me that way. No, you will not. All right, let's get B-Man on the horn. Oh, gotta hit another button. Blake D says he doesn't want to go to bed. Well, then don't. What happened? Wait a minute.
What is up?
It's Mr. Brian Matthews.
How's it going, man? Y'all are going late tonight, huh?
Yeah, we're going a little bit late. We're at an hour and 10 right now.
Wow.
I saw your tweet come through, so you've got your gamer up, so that's good.
Yeah, it was kind of late too, but I had to kind of rewrite it there. In the second half, it made it a little bit difficult.
Yeah, kind of. Because you thought they were going to get beat, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I just written the whole terrible start again. They're terrible on the road, blah, 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 blah type story. And then, boom, here they go. Yeah, they were off.
Yeah, they fought back, man. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that BP says about this is just, man, they fought, and we finally got one, you know?
Yeah. The biggest thing he said, other than, the great comeback and overcoming adversity and, how big this was just to be in the SEC race and such, is he said there near the end of his interview that, because of these bad starts And to put that in perspective, I went back and added up. Auburn is 1 of 46 from three-point range to start 4 SEC road games at State, at Alabama, at Florida, at Ole Miss. 1 of 46 to start.
What, did you say 1 of 46?
1 of 46 three-pointers. Yep.
Good golly, man.
0 of 11 tonight. 0 of 10 at Bama. 1 of 13 at Florida, and 0 of 12 at State.
Man, how about that, dude?
That's crazy.
That's impossible.
But yeah, I know. But so he said that he's going to look at his starting lineup. He said they're just not playing well together right now. So I think that's a real possibility. We're going to see some changes, or at least a change there.
Well, what could it be?
Well, definitely McLemore getting in there for sure. I mean, he was the star tonight before he fouled out, and he had started one game, and he's a senior, so maybe he can bring some stability to that starting lineup.
You talking about instead of Purifoy?
Starts. What?
Instead of D'Angelo, you think?
Yeah, I guess, because Anthony fits into the 4 unless he wants to put him in there at the 5.
But Wiley's good.
Yeah, I know. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. But we'll see. That maybe I don't know if there's really another one you can make. Maybe putting Samir at point guard to start out, and having Javon come off the bench maybe.
Wow, how about
and
that?
You play, I guess, Flanagan or somebody else at the 2 or 3.
Wow. Well, that's cool, man. I'm be looking forward to that if he's going to make some changes. I didn't think he would.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, he said he was going to look into it, so we'll see.
Call Me Biscuit in the chat says the BMAT is either heavy breathing, walking, or laying in bed when on the brain drain. Is one of those things true?
Actually, I moved out of the bedroom because Yvonne is asleep, and so is the dog. And I'm in the living room now, sort of halfway laying and sitting on the couch, so it's kind of true.
And the dog's in your bedroom?
Yeah, well, that's what the crate is, yeah.
Oh, okay. Crate in the bedroom.
Yeah, she still whines a little bit, in the middle of the night having to go out, so she hasn't been able to sleep all the way through the night yet. So.
Interesting. Anyway, Call Me Biscuit did a good job.
We do have a pretty house trained, though, so we're excited about that.
I know you guys are doing a good job with that. It's tough work, man, getting the puppies start behaving themselves. Okay, so going forward, you got the Kentucky game coming up. Do you think that this is the kind of win that could kind of give them even more of an advantage? I thought they were going to beat Kentucky anyway, but do you think this adds to their ability to, to give them an advantage going into that game?
I do. I think they've been really disappointed, especially if they would have just left it like they did in the first half and not come back, just the way they played. I mean, it's just, they had that terrible week against Alabama, Florida. They came back, they worked on some things, and then they go on the road again and stink it up. And I think that would have really disappointed them. But this comeback is going to provide a spark for this team, and they're definitely going to be ready to play for Kentucky. They're going to come out. I don't expect a slow start against Kentucky. I think they're really going to get after it, and the crowd should be amazing.
Yeah, they start slow every week. Come on, man. They always start slow. Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be a big day, man. Pretty fired up about it.
Yep. Basketball, recruiting, all sorts of stuff going on.
Baseball starting up soon?
Yep. A couple of weeks to go. I think it's 2 weeks from Friday. So Pleasant Park will be going strong. I think they have like 22, 23 straight home games to open the season, if I'm not mistaken. So should be a busy time at auburnsports.com.
That's a lot of baseball, man.
Yes, it is.
Hope you enjoy all that.
I will.
Well, we'll have Nate come help you a little bit too,
Yeah, I already talked to him. He said he'd be glad to. So
he's down. Good. All right, cool. B-Matt, appreciate you, brother. Please go to bed. And
I'm about to hit the sack jack. I got to floss and brush and go to sleep. That's my plan.
All right, man. You behave. I'll see you.
Peace out.
See you, bro. It's Brian Matthews, the man, the myth, the legend. And when he says he's going to floss and brush his teeth, as someone who has spent many nights with him on the road, that's what he does. He's got his little, I guess before he goes to bed, regimen. Yeah. Let's see. We got a little bit going on here in the chat. Corny Mofo says it's only 10 o'clock in Vegas. Good point. And I think Hawk Pilot is in Alaska. Not too bad. It says he's in Fairbanks. Or near Fairbanks. How about that? Glad to have you, Hawk Pilot. Appreciate you, bro. Canoe Man says, so thankful this is not a video chat. B Matt. He says, well, I am kind of laying down. Yeah, we know. 49 minutes to midnight says like a Mardi Gras mask with a thong. That's my nightmare. Man, you guys kill me, dude. That's pretty funny. Dan Webb says he's in favor of Javon coming off the bench. So in that case, you'd have Samir kind of playing a combo. I don't know how that would affect things. So you play Samir kind of at a 1. Maybe you play Al at 2. I don't know. You could play Cambridge at 2, maybe. You could play Okoro at 2, maybe. If you wanted to put Cambridge, they're going to leave Okoro where he is at the wing. So it have to be Cambridge or Flanagan, I guess. I mean, it could work. I think it's interesting that I think it's BP just saw enough from D'Angelo. He seemed all right tonight. I mean, 13 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 5 rebounds. I mean, for D'Angelo, that's a pretty good game. Plus minus, he's tied for the team lead with plus 10, 36 minutes on the court. I mean, not bad. I don't know. Maybe he's just saying, it's not necessarily D'Angelo problem. It's just we need to mix it up and see if we can get more pop. It's not saying D'Angelo sucks or anything. Call Me Biscuit says JG is the only guy who can drink bourbon and call BMAT at 12:15 in the morning, and his wife is okay with it. Why? Let's see. CD case. I don't know how you know this, but it says CD case. It's Samir jamming to the Gap Band on the bus ride home. You guys are crazy. Jeff C says he's tuning out. See everybody on Saturday, War Eagle. Fight it out, Jeff C. I hope you're going to be there, bro. Georgia Rebel jumps in with a super chat. Appreciate you, man. You're always welcome here when you behave yourself like that. Well, I mean, not that you wouldn't, but someone with the name Georgia Rebel, I'm concerned. But you've been great the whole time. He says, thanks, JGT. Good luck next time you have olives with Laura. That's happened twice now. I had olives with Laura at the restaurant there right next to Funky's. And then also when I visited and helped install that system, she made some as a joke, and then I made her feed them to me. I actually really do like Laura, like in real life. I don't just say that because I'm on the show with Neil a lot. She's a really cool chick. She's a real cool chick. She's actually really funny. But I don't think people know that about her because her humor's so dry. But she's pretty damn funny. Let's see what else we got. Sparrow says, here's his idea on how to change the lineup. Samir can play point. Put D'Angelo as an awkward 2 if necessary. Let him and Isaac rotate. Mac at 4, Wiley 5. Yeah, what you want? You want to get out? Hold on, my cat's meowing. I guess Sammy was ready to go downstairs or whatever. I don't know. Call Me Biscuit is hoping that Georgia Rebel jumps on the Bruce bandwagon. Something tells me he won't. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know about D'Angelo playing 2. I don't feel good about that. You'd have to choose between Al Flanagan and Cambridge, I think. But, I mean, I'll leave it to BP. I would imagine he's going to want to leave Okoro right where he is. It doesn't really benefit it doesn't benefit you to take true freshmen and move him around. Even though Bruce loves to joke and say that he's basically a senior. He said that the other day. The press conference started laughing, and he looked at me and smiled like, yeah, it is kind of bullshit. Corny Mofo says, that pussy calling. Yep. My pussycat was ready to get out of here, I think. He just heard too much. He said, I heard enough. Maybe he's just not as into Bruce as some of us are. Let's see. Georgia Rebel says, I was a manager when Mike White, Keith Carter, and crew played. I'm a Reb for life. A BP is cool. Man. All right. You're like my age then. I remember Mike White when he was playing at Ole Miss. Hell of a player, man. Good team. Zeth says, starting personnel will be hard to change up, but got to start valuing possessions more early on. Starts at the point. Great point there. I agree completely. I just don't know. I mean, if you're trying to value possessions more, I'm not sure Samir's your guy. But you may be at a point, or BP may be at a point where he says, hey, maybe it's not the perfect personnel move. I'm just going to change this chemistry one way or another. Maybe that's the way they do it. I mean, they still need to get 25 minutes a night out of Javon because he's a valuable part of the team. He was very turnover prone tonight, but he hits shots, and he's pretty good at driving the lane. Not necessarily a great finisher at the rim, but he's got that teardrop little floater he's pretty good with. And he can finish both ways. He probably has about an equal chance either direction, so that's good too. We got another super chat coming in from man Jenkins M. It says, why do we wait so long in the shot clock to run the offense? I'm going to tell you something, and I can't show this number right now because it would take me too long to get it cut up for you, but Auburn is one of the very best teams in the nation, and I'm talking top 10 at offensive execution with the shot clock below 5 seconds. It's insane. And I struggle to kind of understand what that means and why that would be the case because there's so many factors that go into that. But I'm saying over the course of 20 games or whatever they played, they are one of the 5 best teams in the country at executing their offense under 5 seconds on the shot clock. I don't know why. But it's a fact. So when you say, why do we wait so long in the shot clock to run the O? Just because that's the way they operate. I don't know. It is interesting, and I notice it. I guess you just have some dudes on this team that just feel good running it down, and they don't feel pressured. The shooting would suggest otherwise, particularly in the first half, but it's just who they are. Let's see. Jenkins says, also, how will we play in neutral sites like Nashville in the tournament? Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, to me, those are kind of like road games, basically. I mean, you don't have the student sections. They're always at the ends of the court, and they're just so far away. They're not right in your face, so it's a little different. But, I mean, Auburn handled it really well last year. I don't know. We'll just have to see, I guess. Honestly, the kind of team that Auburn is, I don't think they're going to be super awesome team. They're just going to be a good, solid NCAA tournament team. I'm not sure the SEC tournament's going to matter a lot. They're going to be pretty much have their seed when they go. I mean, they still got a lot of work to do in the regular season, but I don't think the tournament's going to be a big deal for them this year. I mean, it could. Maybe they go on a run and win it like they did last year. Then it would be a big deal. Jenkins out here defending Javon a little bit correctly, I think, pointing out that Javon had some great steals on defense. He did. 3 steals. Not a horrible game if you take away the 9 turnovers, and you can't take away the 9 turnovers, but I'm saying he did, as you mentioned, Jenkins, he did a lot of other things that were helpful, particularly after halftime. Bad in the first half, really bad, and had some bad mistakes all the way through the game into overtime, but did some good things too. I feel like I mention this every show, but remember, man, he was signed to be a backup. He was kind of a nobody in junior college. I mean, it wasn't like he was some ballyhooed dude. They're out there getting Sharif Cooper as a 5-star superstar, and they're trying to get Greg Brown, and they're trying to get Jalen. And, and they're going after all these big dudes, and Javon is probably outside of Allen Flanagan, the lowest profile dude they've signed lately. He's not supposed to be a dude that plays 45 minutes for Auburn. And he's doing it, and he's out there. To me, he's almost kind of like a Jake Holland where, Jake Holland played a lot of football at Auburn, and I think a lot of that was because they didn't have a lot of dudes impact players at that position, and that's kind of the reason that he played so much. And people in the bunker were merciless on Jake Holland and said, God, he sucks, and he messes things up, and the truth is that he shouldn't have been a guy that played 1,000 snaps in a season. I just don't think that was who he was supposed to be. And it's on the coaching staff that's the situation that they were in. And that's kind of where they are right now. BP's been very open about, I didn't expect Jared Harper to be leaving this early. He definitely didn't expect Davion to be gone. So, this is kind of where you're at. Let's see. Alpha Tiger says that he guest mods from time to time. Tate fully trusts me. Alpha, I don't think that's true. I will say I like you more than I used to, but you tend to kind of try to make people angry, and it bothers me that you do that sometimes. But you're not the worst. You're certainly not the worst. Actually, I banned one of the worst tonight. Gators. Banned his ass. Absolutely. Well, it wasn't. He didn't do anything like super bad. He was just out there just trying to make people angry when the team was losing. And it seems so weird to me that people. And he doesn't post nearly as much as you do, Alpha. I think you have more cachet, but on the bunker anyway. But it's these people that don't really have much to say until Auburn's getting its ass beat, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, and then they want to get in the threads and start talking about how player sucks, coach sucks, y'all suck, whatever. And it's weird. The Gators has been around a long time, so I don't think he's like an infiltrating Bammer or dog. But when you just come into these threads when things are not going well and you just try to shit on everybody, this drives me crazy. And what I do is, because we're doing like the game thread, I'm getting ready for the show, I got other things going on, I just ban them and I'll ask questions later. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to be a kindergarten teacher right now. I don't have time to do it. And then they get mad and go, "Why did you ban me?" Because you're acting a fool, that's why. 99% of the bunker members never have a problem with him. Everybody just kind of behaves. But you got that 1%. You always have 1%. TD says, "I like you, Alpha, especially for a sidewalk." And Hawk Pilot's with me on the Jake Holland analogy. I appreciate you. Thank you for seeing that. That's just kind of what strikes me. And I like Jake Holland. I did. I thought, just like Javon, I thought Jake was trying his ass off. I think he was really playing hard. He just, if he's not good enough to thrive at this level, that's not his problem. His job is to play as hard as he can and be the best linebacker he can be. And if at the end of the day, he's the third best in a 4-3 system and they've got to use him all the time, that's a win for him. If y'all want to be mad about him being shitty, that's a coach problem. That's not a Jake problem. So I thought it was misdirected. And sometimes I feel that way about Javon, although tonight when Javon has 9 turnovers, it's not all just fake. He needs to get better with that. 2 assists and 9 turnovers is just not going to be good enough. It's not going to be good enough. Dan W. says Holland has a huge heart. He has a huge brain, too. That's a very bright kid you're talking about there, too. Alpha Tiger is all he's describing himself as all about sportsmanship and everyone just having a good time. I believe in Auburn and love it. SSP except when it comes to Gus. Okay. I know you get frustrated by Gus. A lot of people do. I understand it. I really do. Hawk Pilot joking says Jay on game days be like, you get a ban and you get a ban and you get a ban. Yeah, I try. Football game days, I just don't. During the game and stuff, I pretty much just let it go because, it's just there's so much going on. We'll have a whole front page and it'll have, I don't know how many threads are on the front page at any given time, maybe 30 or 40, and they're all within like 3 minutes. You know what I mean? We got 30 threads, all independent, all started in the last 3 minutes. There's really no reason for me to jump in there. I just let it go. But basketball's a little different. We tend to keep that stuff in the thread for the most part. And I don't really like banning people. I generally don't. And Gators is fine. We know what he is. But anyway, I'm probably going to wrap it up, guys. We have been on the air for, looks like an hour and 40 minutes. That's a lot longer than I thought we'd be on the air. It is now 12:30 in the central, an hour and 29 minutes, sorry. It is now 12:30 in the central time zone, 1:30 for our friends on the East Coast. It is, 10:30 for our friends in Las Vegas, and even earlier than that for our friends in Fairbanks, Alaska. I'm sure we're big in Fairbanks. Hawk Pilot says, I don't envy you on game days. It's not that bad, really. I don't know. I just kind of let it go. I just let it go. And people generally act right. And generally when I ban people, they generally are like, hey, man, I did act a fool, and I'm sorry. How long? And I'll say 2 days. And they'll say, okay, I'll see you in 2 days. That's the way 95% of folks handle it. And then you got the 5% that are like, you either got the I have First Amendment rights or I want a refund. Or it's just like, just chill out, man. Just chill out. Alpha Tiger, again, talking about himself in the third person, says Alpha Tiger also likes pissing people off. Life lesson, never let them see you bleed. Hey, now. Jenkins, I'll ask her one last question here. Says, JG, how hard do you think we need to rely on the maybe how much do you think we need to rely on the 3, especially when play amps up? Look, man, you got to remember this. So BP is a three-point shooter guy. Like he likes transition. He likes mismatches, particularly in the post. He likes really fast 4s and 5s. Wiley is not that, but Wiley's an unusual case. I think 5 years from now, when Wiley's doing whatever he's doing and he's gone, there won't be any more Austin Wileys. It'll be people like Stretch. It'll be super quick and bouncy 5s. So it'll be different, and they're going to push transition, they're going to push tempo, and they're going to shoot 3s. That's what BP's been doing since he was in Indiana coaching, and that's the way it's always going to be. Alpha Tiger says, I have never deserved my bans, Tater. I'm not going to fight about it right now. It's 12:30 in the morning. Damon K says, I am at work, so let us roll with it, JG. Stop being a sissy. Oh, man. I know you're just kidding. I mean, maybe not about you being at work, but we're going to let that go. All right, guys. Want to give a shout to all my super chatters out there. I really hope I don't miss this, but I never miss it on the crawl. I got to hide that. Hell, I never even got to the Kentucky. I want you guys to see that I did do a Kentucky Ken Palm here. This is what UK's been doing lately. If you just want to take a quick look at that. I did cut that up and get it ready, even though I didn't show it. It happens all the time that I don't get to that. I never miss a super chatter when it comes to getting it on the crawl, but sometimes I miss them during the show. But I hope I don't miss any here. Michael M. says, how's Marquise Daniels doing? He's good. I mean, he's still in a wheelchair. Got really banged up in that accident. It's probably been 6 weeks ago now. But he's doing good. He's gonna get a full recovery. He's gonna be fine, and he's there a lot now, and he's totally with it. So I'm really fired up about the way Marquise has come along, and he's a really, really good person. Another thing about Marquise, he came to Auburn back when they had Prop 48 kids still. That was still a thing, so he was like an academic risk or whatever, and he graduated from Auburn with a degree in 3 years. One of the ballsiest things I've ever seen a student athlete do at Auburn. He comes in as a major academic risk and he graduates in 3 years. It tells you something about Marquise right there. I think it says all you need to know. A Sparrow Empire with another super chat. Incredible. Thank you very much for your support. It says, thanks for yet another great show, Jay. Praying for us all before Saturday's show. P.S. Get Wiley and Mac in the game together. Tell Bruce for me. Thanks. Okay. We'll do it for show. Super chatters, Hornatius, Sparrow Empire times like 4. Excuse me, guys. Bradley G, Jazzy Joe, Jenkins Mock, over and over again. Thank you, Jenkins. So glad you came into the show. Fat Crack, Stu Pup, Hickadoodle, and Hawk Pilot AU. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but if I did, I definitely won't miss you. Georgia Rebel as well. I'm sorry, Georgia Rebel. Thank you for being part of the show. I don't know if you'll be with us again, but maybe you will next time Auburn plays Ole Miss. Not too long off. Maybe 3 weeks, something like that. You're always welcome to be on the show. And if I missed any other super chats, I apologize very much, but I will get you guys on the crawl for sure. All right, guys. Appreciate you. All the chatters that have been with us from the start. I think Alpha was our very first person today. Said free Gators. You wanted a Gator to get out of Chile. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, and we've had a bunch of you guys with us all night long, and I thank you very much. And Chip, I saw that you said you promised to be. You will try the bomb at the Voodoo, and you will report the results. I hope so. It's hot, believe me. But I'm glad you're going to be going by. Those are good folks, good Auburn folks, and they do a really good job. Voodoo really is really good every single time we go. It's not just me talking on the air. Hawk Pilot says, thanks for the show, Jay. Love you, homie from the Arctic Circle. Northern Lights are out. Going to head outside for a bit. My God, is that real? If I go outside, I'm just going to see the light from the sewer treatment plant. All right, guys. For real, I'm going to go now. Y'all be good. Appreciate y'all. We'll be doing a show for sure after the Kentucky game. That's 5 o'clock Saturday. That's going to be a showdown for sure. And we'll talk to you guys after that. Of course, I'll be in the bunker for those of you who are at auburnsports.com. And if you're not a member, you ought to be. All right, folks. Appreciate y'all. Be good out there. Love you guys. Peace.